Alrighty then. McDonald's honey mustard pickled sea fuck meal. Hello, hello. Alrighty then. Let us go ahead. McDonald's honey mustard pickled sea fuck meal. And get this Araxxor stream started. We are currently sitting at 3,990 KC. Let's make it 4K and complain on Reddit about our pet drop rate. Missed the first hammer. Hit the second hammer, and we're off to the races. I'm starting to really get annoyed with the heavy ballista, because the heavy ballista, sometimes it'll like shoot right away once I switch to it, but sometimes it'll take like what feels like 2 or 3 T-bow hits to like actually fire a javelin. Like, watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's I don't know. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I've just been here too long, but it feels slow. Actually gonna stand here. Try and kite the red guy around. Be on this side of him. That's good. I'll do a couple trips here. I have like, what, 67 KC left. We can probably get that done today. But, deal with the Araxxor KC. Maybe take a break and do a little bit of Bandos. Started watching a show, Orphan Black, and it was alright. It was like a decent drama, I guess. But they did the thing that I hate when shows do, is I don't know if it's like an actual rule of cinema or filmmaking or TV or whatever, but when I was writing my own stuff, a rule that I kept was like, you can use coincidence to get a character into trouble, but if you use coincidence to get a character out of trouble, then, I don't know, it feels cheap or contrived. And I definitely feel that with a lot of shows that I watch, where it's like, it's a Deus Ex Machina thing, where like, the writers just wanted the character to get into a dangerous situation and then just as easily get out of that same dangerous situation. And there's no real, like, compelling reason why they got their way out. Like, I don't think it's bad to have characters get out of bad situations, because you need to have that to have basically any kind of story. But if it's like, I'll use the show I just watched as an example. It's a show, Orphan Black. It's about clones, and in the first season, there's a section where like these clones get together and they're like sharing their experiences and they're trying to like figure out like why are they clones, who made them, that sort of stuff. And one of the clones meets someone that another clone knew, right? And that's a coincidence. That's just like two characters running into each other who it's clearly a coincidence that they'd be at the same place at the same time, right? But the reason I wasn't upset with that is because it complicated the story. It is like reasonable. The things that happened afterwards were reasonable. Like the person had to fake knowing this person, or they had to navigate a new situation because of this coincidence. But then it's like in the second season where I stopped watching, there was a character who got captured. One of the clones got captured and was being like tortured for information. And coincidentally, some just random other person shows up and is like, "Oh yeah, I killed this guy for you." And it's like, well, where did you come from? Why were you here? What were you doing here? Because when you get into trouble, you're not asking as many questions. The audience just expects things to go wrong. But when things go right for no reason, then it's like, well, this doesn't make sense. This isn't a satisfying narrative. Like, Odysseus in the Odyssey. He doesn't show back up in Athens and instantly get, like, recognized by everyone, and coincidentally, as he gets there, all the suitors run away, or they hear a rumor that Odysseus is back, and he scares off all of the suitors with his mere presence. No, he shows up to the court as a beggar. He's in disguise because he's been away for 20 years and no one would recognize him anyway. And instead of, like, having Penelope coincidentally realize something about, like, a scar on his hand or the way he walks, she just assumes he's another random guy. The thing that gets Odysseus out of that narrative bind is he does the thing that only Odysseus could do. He has the effort. He's a warrior, so he knows how to string a war bow. And since he's a warrior who knows how to string a war bow, he can shoot an arrow precisely through all the axes. And it's not like some random coincidence. It's been established that he's a warrior. It's been established that he reasonably would be able to string his own bow. So that, I think, is a solid way to get out of that sort of pickle. But when it's just like randomly this guy shows up and he's super amazing. It's the same reason I'm not too fond of superhero movies, because the superhero movie explanation for, oh, why did the superhero win this fight instead of lose this fight? It's because they're badass and shut up and watch the explosions. Right? I think there's good superhero media out there. Like Watchmen. Not the movie Watchmen. The movie Watchmen kind of fucking sucks. But the comic book Watchmen is very good. Because pretty much every superhero in Watchmen is just a normal person in a costume. And they are vigilantes. And the whole thing is about vigilantes. And the one guy who is, like, actually superpowered in Watchmen is barely human. He's, like, not even human. He's so powerful and so intelligent, he's just completely removed from humanity at that point. Which is an interesting take on the genre. Or even, like, the very early superhero comics when, like, Batman wasn't a superhero with all the gadgets. He was just, like, a detective who wore a costume. Like, that kind of stuff is more interesting to me than, like, uh, oh, the Flash is super fast, and watch this CGI cutscene of the Flash running around a guy and disassembling his gun while moving. It's like, because then you get into an arms race, you get into power creep with a lot of superhero media, where it's like, well, they defeated this big threat, so the next one has to be bigger, or else it's not going to be as cool. And so they keep going bigger and bigger until it's like, okay, at this point, what are you even doing? You're not telling a compelling story. You're just showing off how awesome and badass your guy is, and every time you think they're never gonna be able to do it, they do it harder. It's also what I like about Dragon Ball. I haven't watched too much Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. The original Dragon Ball series I couldn't really get into. Uh, but Dragon Ball Z, it has that same problem where it's like, well, this next guy is even stronger, but it's kind of tongue-in-cheek with it, where it's like, Super Saiyan 7. But this one has red hair, but this one has blue hair, and this one has a tail, and this one... And he's just, like, throwing random shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Because, Akira Toriyama, I think that's his name, the guy behind Dragon Ball Z. There's... from my limited knowledge of Dragon Ball Z, I know that, like, he will introduce like a new power level for a Super Saiyan in one chapter, and then like 50 chapters later, people are like, "Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that power scale thing?" And he's like, "Oh fuck, I forgot." Just because he's like, the whole point about Dragon Ball Z is like the numbers don't matter, and comparing power between different things is kind of stupid. And if you just have the determination and the strength, you'll always overcome. And that's not sort of the message we get with like Superman. I'll say another one, RoboCop. RoboCop is good. RoboCop is it's the classic thing of like, you have a guy who is fully human. He gets into some accident and his humanity is stripped from him. And at the end of RoboCop, in a lot of the narratives that happens, I'm not familiar with all of them. I'm sure some aficionado, some expert on the subject could tell me if there are plot lines like this, and I'm sure there are, because that would be an interesting way to explore it. But it's like the story arc of RoboCop is like, he is human, he gets his humanity taken away, and at the end of it, the thing that saves him is his regaining his humanity through like force of will or love or whatever the thing is for that particular storyline. But for RoboCop, it's not like he was badass and then he just got more badass and then he just got more and more badass every time. It was like, no, he was a full person and he had something taken and something given at the same time. There's a trade-off. It wasn't just like, oh, you're more powerful and oh, like Doctor Strange. I hate the Doctor Strange fight when he's like in the temple and he like is surrounded by all these magical items and it's like, oh, the magic item chooses who's gonna survive. And it's not that like Dr. Stephen Strange overcame something through force of will or talent or skill. I mean, you could make the argument that it was like, oh, magical aptitude made it so that this magical item connected with them. It's like, come on. He bonked his head on the glass box, and then a cape came to his rescue. And I don't hate Marvel movies. I think they're I just think their storylines for the movies are kind of weak. I mean, Infinity War and um, the other one, Endgame. I think those two are decent, but a lot of them are just like visual candy, spectacle, and a bigger bad than the last time you saw this hero face off against a big bad. And I know it's a little bit contrarian to be like, ooh, Marvel sucks. I don't think Marvel sucks. I think Marvel appeals to sort of good movie theater movies. Like, kind of like just sit back, eat your popcorn, don't ask too many questions, because if you start asking too many questions, you're going to become a 16-hour long Transformers the Animated Series lore video. Which, like, if that's your stuff, if that's what you love, then yeah, that's... I don't want to take that away from people. It's just that story that doesn't really appeal to me that much. I honestly, I'll say I like the Adam West Batman a lot more than like Batman v Superman Batman, right? Because Batman is kind of inherently a silly concept. And the only way that it really works is like he's planned for everything and he's super smart and he has contingencies for everything. But I do think Batman is a much better... not a much better character, but a more interesting character to me because of his limitations, right? I always thought that limiting something, including like limitations on any kind of art or artistic subject, is interesting. Like, I can't think of a particular artist at the moment, but like an artist who moves between painting and then they're like, well, I can't do this particular thing with painting, so they move on to like sculpture, and they're like, okay, well, I can do this with sculpture, but I can't really do this with sculpture, so they try like music. Like different artistic mediums have different limitations, and different like upsides too. And I think it works the same way with like artistic subject. If you're writing a story about a subject or you're depicting a subject in art, like the limitations make you more creative with how you express the subject or the art itself. Which is why I think I've been playing a lot of older video games because, uh, listen, listen. I've only played video games on an emulator that I bought when I was a kid and I lost the copy of because either the battery for the Game Boy cartridge died or the GameCube that I had, the motor on the disk drive has died and I can't get it working again. Like, come on. If you want me to play, like, Golf, Tiger Woods Golf 2K on the GameCube, if you want me to play that, then either re-release it or make it like a digital download. Because, you know, there's no real practical way to play a lot of those older physical media games anymore. Or even DOS games. I mean, I wanted to play this is something that kind of pissed me off, is I wanted to play through the Resident Evil series because I always heard it was like kind of weird, kind of goofy, kind of a little bit creepy, and I was like, that sounds fun. Um, but the only versions I could find are like the remakes and then a few like download only kind of games. Like they did release the GameCube remake of Resident Evil on Steam, and that's the version I played, even though like if I wanted to play Resident Evil 1 in its original coding or its original coat of paint, I would have had to emulate it because I have no idea where would I even get a disc and get the console. And yeah, it's gross. It's just hard to find older media. But don't emulate games you haven't bought. That's why I bought the entire Resident Evil game series for the re-releases, actually. And I know I'm not getting, like, the original experience, but I feel like I was mostly there for the story, and the re-releases were close enough. What also is not going to be a problem forever, probably. Not going to be, well, not going to be a problem for a long time, I don't think. But the whole Steam license thing, where you buy a game through Steam, you technically don't own a copy, you own a license to download the game. And it's like, okay, well, if Steam goes belly up, what happens to all the content that I've technically just leased from these companies? Like, does all that just go down the shitter? And I don't think Steam is going to go out of business anytime soon, but I can foresee that being an issue. Especially the more game platforms that are out there. Like, you have the Ubisoft launcher, you have EA's launcher, you have whatever the one for Fortnite is. I know Fortnite is like on its own launcher system that that you have to sign up for, and it has the Epic Game Store. I think it's called Epic Game Store. Like, that's my worry, is just the more spread out things get, the easier it is for, like, lost media to become a thing. There's, like... There's something I read, like... And this could be wildly off. It's just some anecdote I remember. But it was, someone saying, like, oh, I estimate that only 10% of the media that we have access to today will survive the next 100 years. And thinking historically about it, that doesn't seem too far off. I mean, of the hundreds and hundreds of Greek trilogies that we knew existed, because pretty much all of the Greek tragedies that we know of were sort of in a trilogy. That was sort of just the convention at the time. If you were writing a dramatic play, that you would have a trilogy of them. And we have, I think only one. I could be wrong, there might be more, but I think at the moment we only know of the one Greek trilogy that is, I think it's Hecuba? Is it Hecuba? Maybe it's not Hecuba. Uh, the Orestria. The Orestria. Besides missing a few lines of besides a few missing lines, the Orestria of 458 BC is the only complete Greek trilogy of Greek plays by a playwright still extant. Yeah. So there's I don't know why I thought it was Hecuba, but there's only one surviving Greek trilogy of the hundreds I don't know, but could reasonably assume existed. Not maybe not hundreds of trilogies, but hundreds of plays in a trilogy series. Like Antigone and Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Rex was I think the first one, and Antigone was the third one. So we don't know. We can assume from context clues in the text, from the tradition or the template of Greek tragedies being in threes, and because characters are similar between the plays, that it's reasonable to assume that there was a third middle play that existed somewhere in between Antigone and Oedipus Rex, that events happened that followed the first one and came before the second one. Uh, but it's just gone. We don't really have copies of it. They might be out there somewhere in a vault if they haven't turned to dust and worm food by now. I really think it's the only real way to preserve that amount of information. The only way to preserve the amount of information that is put online today, or has even existed in the past 100 years, is to make as many copies and distribute them as widely as possible. Like, if there's only one guy with an iPod full of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he's the only guy who downloaded the animated series, and then I don't know, the battery explodes or something corrupts the file, that's just lost media. You need to have redundancies and backups if you want to prevent media from being destroyed or lost. Got me yapping over here. Almost got myself killed. My T-bow always noodles at the end here. The end, it always noodles. Huh. 3,999 kill count, everybody. Next one is the big 4,000. Thank you. I do hope I get it soon. Otherwise, I'm gonna start complaining on Reddit. I always think back to that guy who went, like, super dry for the squirrel pet at the penguin agility course. And instead of, like, posting to complain on Reddit, he was just like, you know what? Every week I'm gonna post updates on Reddit until I get it. And, like, that was, I think, a much better way to do it, because at the end of it, when he finally did get the pet, everyone was, like, super positive about it, and like, hey, congrats, man, you finally got it. I mean, that's the way I look at this. I mean, I'm dry at this, I'm dry at Thermy, but I'm still gonna be happy when I get the pet. That is the best way to boost RNG. Yeah, I'm probably taking a break as well. I might go do a trip of Bandos. Solo Bandos when I get the chance after a few of these trips when I start to get bored. Because this boss does get rather tedious. Especially this part when my T-bow decides not to hit anything. No, no. It's not enough to do. And I mean, I've been playing on an Iron Man, a free-to-play Iron Man. And that's been a lot of fun. Just going through a lot of the early free-to-play quests and doing some iron skilling grinds. My idea is I want to get, let's wait for our spec energy to recharge. I want to get to, like, base 30s on the iron before I start playing, like, the Iron Man seriously. Like, before I bond it up and start to, like, really go hard in the iron training department. But I think it'd be fun to play through the... I don't know if I'll go for, like, end-game stuff, but I want to play through the main quest. I want to play through, get the quest cape again on an iron. I think the best way I could play an iron is probably first go for... Ooh, someone got a bunch of Chompy Bird hats. First go for the quest cape, then go for the achievement diary capes. And then after that, I can probably go for, like... I'd probably go for, like, 99 Slayer on the iron before I did any real big PVM grinds, because you just get so much good stuff from Slayer. And Slayer is my favorite skill, so I wouldn't mind going to 99 on another account for Slayer. Don't know if I'd do quite so many Slayer bosses on the Iron Man. I'd probably only do Slayer bosses if I needed an item from them. But I'll tell you, I would be very confident doing any of the Slayer bosses there. Oh yeah, I want to max this account. I'm sure it's like the more I put it off, the later it'll be starting the iron, the less progress I'll have made, but also I still have stuff I want to do on this account. Alright, my T-bow's not going to hit, so let's just get this guy to blow up under him. Alright, 4001. Do we get it? Nah. What's your account looking like, Leroy? What kind of account you going for? I'm mostly going for pets here. But I'd be happy to. I also need to do my Inferno and my Quiver as well. Yeah, there is. I don't think there's another game. I would say like another MMO, but I honestly don't think there's another game that has the amount of content and amount of like relevant content as old school. Yeah, I'd couch that in like I don't think there's as much relevant content in any other game. 30 mil bank, 82 combat and base 40s. That's pretty good. I mean, that's a good 30 mil is nothing to snarf at. Nothing to snarf at. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you enjoy questing, the quest cape is definitely something to go for. Urban Birdhouse and Slayer. Going for untrimmed Slayer. Oh, that one's sick. That one's hard to get though, right? Because you're getting your combats up at the same time you're getting your Slayer up. I think I hit 99 in some of my combats before I hit 99 Slayer. So that one might be a little bit tricky, but awesome that you're going for it. If I just if I just use my whip on shared the entire way up to 99 Slayer, I might have hit all of that stuff. Oh yeah, using the cannon as well can help with that. Is there a way yeah, I don't know if there is a way to like prevent yourself from getting that much HP XP. I guess the cannon is one way. There's also like poison dynamite, but that's like super pure zero combat account kind of stuff. And I also want to there's a lot of content that came out to help like mid-game players, like getting the Eclipse gear or getting the Moon's apparel gear would be cool. Oh, there is. So way smarter people than me have figured out this game, so I'm sure there's a calculator somewhere for it. I know there's a calculator for drop rates, and the drop rate calculator makes me sad every time I see it, because the drop rate for this pet is 1 out of 1,500. 1,500? Yeah, 1,500. And I've hit 4,000 kills. So, drop rates are drop rates. You're not actually getting it at 1 out of 500. 1 out of 1,500. You're just rolling a 1,500 sided die. I've never seen a better wiki than the old school wiki. It's so good. And like the archive projects they have for it. Yeah, it's just a typo, don't worry about it. But yeah, the wiki has so much good stuff on it, and I feel like bad, but I play with my second monitor on just so I can see the wiki half the time. 800 Cyclopses for the Dragon Defender. That is rough. With a lot of the newer things, they're introducing dry prevention, and I guess this boss also has sort of dry prevention because I'm getting no loot but double pet rate. It's still not that great of a pet rate, but better than better than 1 out of 3,000. It's twice as good. Doesn't mean the grind is going to be half as long. It just means maybe it's half as long. But I'll get it eventually. I will definitely be playing on the iron once I'm done with the Araxxor grind. The only Slayer pet left I'll have is Thermi, and after I get Thermi, I'll go for more skilling pets so I can play on the iron. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's something cool about pets being really rare. For certain things, I feel like for item drops, the pity system is definitely nice. Like, the Desert Treasure 2 ring system is nice because it does work sort of as a pity system. Same with Araxxor for the Noxious Halberd. It's sort of a pity system because it's 1 in 200 per piece instead of 1 in 600, which makes it honestly a lot easier to get all your pieces for the halberd. But I'm not sure about how much pity systems should be introduced for like stuff that is like required for an account. Like Zenites are nice, but they're not that hard to get. Slap on the face. Since the pet system does nothing except help your bank standing while helping you misclick during raids. Yeah. Listen, there's some uses for pets. I recently got the Skatizo pet, and that thing makes a big stomping sound. And you can walk around the GE and annoy people with it. Same with General Groudor. He stomps around and makes people want to uninstall. Or just install a plugin. Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Just going crazy dry. Well, not crazy dry, but we're going dry for this pet. Been here for 4,000 kills. And counting. We have 54 kills left on this task. And we're going to see if we can't get lucky. What to type for your name? Oh yeah, is that Cyrillic text? I'm not sure, but it looked like Cyrillic to me. And I can't really read that. Julia, that's nice. Alright. Probably do one more run. Yeah, I thought it was. I've played enough Escape from Tarkov to know Cyrillic when I see it. I'm not no well, I did play back in like 2007, but I was a stupid child and got scammed all the time. I only came back in like 2018 to play old school. Well, I started actually playing RuneScape 3, and then once the pay to win really got to me at RS3, that's when I switched over to old school. Because I was like, well, the membership transfer's over, so why don't I just give old school a try while I'm not playing anymore RS3. And I just decided that this game was better for me, so I stuck around. And I'm glad I did. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you came back. It's a good game. You know, you never really quit old school. You never really quit RuneScape. You just take long breaks. But yeah, we're just killing the spider. I think I'm gonna take a break here for a little bit and go do a trip at Bandos, maybe? I don't know, maybe Kriara. Kriara's got better drops. I might go to Kriara, but I've done a lot of Kriara and I already have the Kriara pet, so... Well, the only really thing that I need to greenlog Kriara is the Armadillo hilt. Came back like a month ago also. Oh no, yeah. They purged a lot of old accounts. They do that if you haven't logged in like years and years. But yeah, I convinced when I was a kid, my mom didn't want us playing, me and my sister playing any violent video games. So to convince my mom that RuneScape wasn't a violent video game, we had her make an account and we took her fishing for shrimps in Lumbridge and we're like, look, it's a fishing game. And it's woodcutting. It's fun. It's not violent. Uh, okay, I gotta get out of here. Let's see. Do we take a break or do we... no, let's just keep going for Araxxor because we're gonna get the pet eventually. Oh yeah, they transferred all the like if you played in before 2013, then your account got transferred over to RS3. That happened to me too. And and when I first logged back into my old account from when I was a kid, the only thing I had on it was like a Mystic set, fire battle staff, and like some random junk. And I was like, I thought I was doing good in this game. I don't remember being such a broke boy in in RuneScape, but I guess I was. Yeah. My mom came around to it eventually. After after I sort of graduated high school and went off to college, she got a lot more chill because she was just like, well, I don't really mind those things on principle. It was more like, I don't want you playing them when you're younger because they could be a bad influence. And I'm like, you know what? That's fair. But she enjoys like the old Mel Blanc or Mel Brooks movies and some of the more raunchier stuff. Yeah, you look back with rose-tinted goggles and you're thinking like, "Oh man, I must have had such a great bank when I was a kid." Nope. I thought Mystics were the best mage gear in the game. Missed the first one. Hit the second one. I'm gonna throw. And off to the races. But this will be my... How many pets do I have? Oh man, I need to do the... Can I do this well in combat? Collection logs. Oh. The Wiki and Quest Helper have... Yeah, the Wiki and Quest Helper have made the game, I feel like, a lot more accessible. Before the Quest Helper plugin came out, there's this guy called Slayer Music 1. And he did every quest, like, narrative and voice acted everything you needed to do, so I followed a lot of his guides. World 96 was your favorite because you thought the number was cool. Also thought I was muted for the longest time. Oh yeah, the quick chat world. Man, this game has a very long and sordid history. I think there was a time when the whole game was like quick chat only for a certain point. There's been a lot of ups and downs in RuneScape's history. I feel like we're doing pretty good. They released a video today. They released a... What's it called? The roadmap for their customer service. And it looked, I mean, it looked promising. Customer service roadmap looked like they, you know, had the right ideas for a lot of the things. Like they listened to feedback, finally, and we're actually working on certain things. And to be fair, I have seen a reduction in spam bots at the GE, right? Because I don't think spam bots at the GE were, like, the worst thing in the game for the game's health. But I do think they were annoying and they were very visible. And those two things combined made them a larger priority than, like, air orb alts in low-level wilderness or other kind of money-making bots that are in weird, obscure areas so they don't get noticed as often. But I do think they're moving in the right direction. You know, more transparency, more communication with the players, more robust, like, explanation of, like, if you got banned, why, and what you can do to appeal it. Those are all good things. There's some things that are just hard to prove. Like, they released a roadmap for better support at the same day people got emails about them raising their active membership subscription costs. Really? Did they raise the subscription costs today? Oh no. Did they? Did they really? I'm gonna have to look this up real quick. After this kill, I gotta... Because if that's true, then that's absolutely scummy. Felt like it was to combat negative reaction. You're here to support you, but only if you pay us more first. Yeah. It's hard, man. How do I walk with run energy on? I will show you after this kill. It's a setting in your game settings. It's not like a RuneLite plugin. It's an actual setting in game. Um, I hold control. I think you can bind it to any hotkey, but I just hold control to switch run modes here. Let me settings, all settings, gameplay, and it should be, where is it? Controls. Yeah, it's controls. It's this one. Control click to invert run mode. Set whether holding control when clicking your walk to interact will temporarily invert your selected run mode. I have it set to always. So if I have run on and I control click, I walk. If I have walk on and I control click, I run. So yeah, that's a useful little setting there. Yeah, it gets really useful for a lot of things. I definitely use it all the time when I'm doing Chambers of Xeric, because there's a lot of things in there where you have to, like... Well, mostly at Ulm, but... At Ulm, there's a lot of things where you need to walk instead of run, if you want to be, like, doing it the best way possible. And it's easier to, like, hold control on the keyboard than it is to go up here and click off the run energy. I have been doing challenge mode chambers recently, and they are a lot of fun. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Leroy Jenkins. Nice chatting with you too. But yeah, challenge mode chambers as Eric has been fun. Can be hard to find, like, good teams, because I'm not really, like, super fast. I'm still new to CMs. I only have, like, 10 KC. But it's been fun. I mean, doing all of the rooms is different, but a lot of stuff is just harder, but better. Just turned in, why is the bow on long range? It has the same attack speed as rapid, but has more tiles range. Which really doesn't matter that much in this fight, because you're standing right next to him. But for other things, again, going back to, like, Chambers of Xeric, for Chambers of Xeric, it is useful to have that extra tile of distance on your attacks. No, T-Bow is not better DPS than Scythe. The only reason I'm using it is because it's the best DPS I've got. Inquisitor Mace is better than T-Bow. Soul Reaper Axe is better than Inquisitor Mace, and Scythe is better than everything. But T-Bow is better than all the other options. Yeah, no problem. Alright. Do I stay for another one? I could probably see how much I can do in this next one, and then tell you out if it gets too sketchy. Let's go for the double hammer. I immediately took a 34 because I didn't have my prayer on. But we hit both hammers, so we'll see. Another reason I like the T-Bow here is because you're already in full ranged, so your heavy ballista always one-shots the, You can call me mommy, you can call me man, you can call me Dan. Because Dan is my name, if you want to call me that. But, yeah, whatever works for you. But yeah, all of the... Since you're already in, like, full range gear, your heavy ballista automatically one-shots all of the spiders that you want it to one-shot. Mommy Man Dan, yep, there you go. We can probably finish this kill out without needing to telly out. This could be the one. Weird glitch there. We can hit a 79 if we try hard enough. We can hit a 64 if we try hard enough. We can also just lure this guy under him. Or hit a 14 here. We could hit a 14 here. We could hit an 11 here. We could hit a 9 here. There we go. Show me the pet. Maybe next time. But, oh, what was I gonna do? I was going to, go to my collection log, go to other, all pets, and then I think I have to right-click. Thanks, Grosselboy3, for subscribing. Nice to have you with us. I think I had to check all of these again for them to show up when I hit exclamation point pets. But let's resupply and head back in there. And we get that, and back to it. Where am I from? I am from the US. I am from California, the Golden State. Sort of like greater LA area, I would say. I moved away because it's frickin' expensive there, but yeah, I'm from the West Coast. Ugh. It's nice being where I am now because there's a lot more open space. I'm out closer to like the mountains. Where I was, it was like concrete for miles. I'm not a fan of LA because you have the city in the middle, and the city's kind of nice because everything's in walking distance. But then you just have like miles and miles of suburbs with nothing but like concrete and paved roads and like a park every couple miles. So yeah, I like being I don't know. I get claustrophobic in cities, and I hate tall buildings. I hate being in tall buildings. It just freaks me out. It's like we were never meant to be 50 stories above the ground. That just feels freaky to me. I don't know. It's one of my weird phobias. Although New York, despite the claustrophobia I felt in New York, they have the greatest street food. I mean, there's an argument to be made between like street food in California versus street food in LA versus street food in New York. I feel like New York has more of like a stand culture, like a food stand culture, and LA has like more of a food truck culture. Just because there's more space in LA, I think, for them to like drive around and set up. But yeah, just mobile food vendors are, I think, like an important like thing to do if you're ever visiting a big city. The sketchier it is, the better the food. And let's drag this guy around. When I was visiting New York, I found a Euro stand. Is it Euro or Euro? All right, Grossel, I'll see you next time. See you around. It was nice chatting with you. But when I was in New York and I didn't know how to order a gyro or a gyro or however you pronounce it. I was just like, yeah, put everything on it. And he's like, you want spicy or not spicy? And I'm like, you know what? That's the correct question because I don't know what the sauce is called. Just give me spicy. He's like, all right. And then he just gave me it with everything on it. Just make it normally. And it was really good. It was very good. I think eating local food is a great way to get to know a place. Like, I don't know. I've never been overseas. I've only ever been in, like, North America. I've been to Canada. Like, I traveled up through British Columbia, and that was cool. Uh, I've been, like, all up and down the West Coast, and I took a school trip to New York, and then a trip with my parents to Washington, D.C. when I was younger. Um, but I would really like to go overseas, and yeah, I'd love to go to Europe. I don't know exactly where I'd visit first. I know there's a lot of touristy places, but I'm more of like a nature guy. So, I mean, it's cool to go to like big tourist attractions. Like you gotta see Paris, you gotta see the Parthenon, you gotta see the Hague. Is it the Hague? Is the Hague? Where's the Hague? Is the Hague in the U.S.? The Hague Planetarium, is that what it's called? I don't know. It's just me being a stupid American, not knowing where things are. But I'd love to go like I'd love to go fishing or see like the volcanoes in Iceland and stuff like that. The Netherlands? Yeah, okay. I was thinking. Because, you know, tourist attraction stuff is cool, but it feels very, like, crowded, and I'm not a big fan of crowds. Like, I said this on a previous stream, but when I was growing up, uh, one of the I was in the Boy Scouts, so we'd always be camping, going on camping trips and fishing and hiking. I never really went hunting because I don't know, my family just wasn't into hunting, and there's not too much big game around California that you're allowed to hunt. Um, but fishing I did all the time, and I love fishing. But there's also a lot of national parks close to where I live, so we'd all go to the different national parks and go on hikes there. I'm sure the big one a lot of people know is Yellowstone with all the volcanoes there, or the hot springs there. That's a really cool place to visit. Um, but besides the active hot springs that are going on in Yellowstone, you also have like beautiful outdoor wilderness, mountains and rivers and stuff like that. Um, and so I went fly fishing while I was in Yellowstone, and that was really fun because this guy was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna drive down to this end of the trail, and then we're gonna hike 5 miles out to this nice river, and then we're gonna fly fish all day, and then come back." And yeah, that was the whole day, and it was really fun because like it's eerie, right? You go like a mile off the touristy places in a national park, And there's just pure wilderness. There's no one there. A lot of trout. I don't think I've ever gone for salmon fishing. Because salmon, I don't know. The freshwater salmon that are in the U.S. is mostly in like Alaska, and when it is in Alaska, it's very seasonal. Most of the salmon caught on the west coast of the U.S. is caught in the ocean, but definitely a lot of trout. We have rainbow trout and bluegill trout. Those are the big ones. Rainbow trout is definitely my favorite because they look really cool, and they're pretty easy to cook and clean and all that. Pretty tasty too. I'm not a super big fan of bony fish, but if you have the patience to debone them, then yeah, they're good. One one of the best fishing trips I remember, we were in Oregon. The Oregon River is a river between Oregon and Washington, and they have a fish called a sturgeon. And if you have ever seen them, they're like these dinosaur-looking, ancient, scaly, kind of spiky-looking fish that grow to be super huge. They're giant fish. And we caught like a 2 foot long fish, right? And anywhere else in the world, you'd be like, 2 feet long, that's a huge fish. And the guy took out a ruler and he's like, I'm sure it wasn't 2 feet. This is clearly like, oh, the fish was this big. But it was a fairly large fish. Any other species of fish, it would have been a keeper. But the guy took out a ruler and he's like, nah, this one's too small. I'm like, how can it be too small? It's huge. uh, for Easter, also, what we would do, there's a island off the coast of California near LA called Catalina. It's a super small island. You can like people a lot of the times they take out kayaks and they just kayak around the circumference of the island for like it's like a day long trip. Fishing in Russia, I'm sure. One thing I've never done, which I do want to try, is ice fishing. I think ice fishing would be really cool because it seems very relaxed. You just get nice and cozy, you bring your coffee and your hot chocolate, and you sit out there and you fish and chat in a little tent or a little shack you push out on the ice. I think that would be really fun. I've never done it before, um, but that would be fun. But if I ever go somewhere where I'm unfamiliar with fishing, I definitely want to go with someone who's like a local or a guide or something because I know how to like fish for a trout in a river. I know how to fish for like uh the other thing I would go like deep sea fishing where you have a bottom line, you have a weight and then about a foot of line with a buoyant bait and you cast that out and you don't really need to cast it that far. You can basically just drop it off the side of the boat and you're basically catching off the bottom. Like I know how to do that, but if I don't know how to fly fish really, I don't know how to ice fish, so I would need someone to like show me how to set up the tackle and all that. But yeah, I've never been ice fishing just because I've never lived somewhere where it gets cold enough to have lakes freeze over. I've only ever lived sort of like by the coast or in the desert. And there's not too much fishing going on in the desert, unfortunately. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Although if you do like if you like lizards and stuff like that, then where I live is probably a pretty nice place to be, because we get, like... I'm not all the way out in the Sonoran Desert, but I grew up visiting it and going out there because my dad had a house out there. He bought a house out there before he married my mom, and so every once in a while we'd go out to the Sonoran Desert, and it's dry and your eyes hurt because your eyes are getting sun from above and sun reflected off the sand. So it makes your eyes hurt. You gotta wear sunglasses sometimes. But you can get scorpions and centipedes and Gila monsters. Gila monsters are cool lizards, but they're very painful if you get bitten by one. So you learn very quickly in the desert to respect things' space. If it's not chasing you, you shouldn't chase it because, yeah, it can hurt, most likely. Except for something like... I mean, copperheads, if you're like... They're not super deadly unless you're allergic to them. But the best bet, if you ever see a copperhead, is not to find out then and there whether or not you are allergic to it. Same goes for, like, a hognose snake. It won't really hurt you that bad unless you are allergic to it, but still not great. Not a good time to get bitten. And even the things that are really deadly, like rattlesnakes, they warn you. That's the nice thing about rattlesnakes, is they warn you before they're about to kill you. And so if you start to hear something that sounds like a sprinkler in an area where you know there are no sprinklers, then you turn around and walk away from the sound. The thing that really freaked me out when I was camping wasn't like snakes or centipedes or scorpions, because those things, most of the time, they're big enough for you to see and move away from. It was... The things that freaked me out were ticks and spiders. Because you can't really see ticks a lot of the time. So if we were ever going through an area with, like, we knew there were a lot of ticks, we would stuff our pant legs into our socks to, like, protect our skin. Or, you know, if you're camping and you accidentally lay down on, like, a brown recluse spider, that would be really bad, because you won't immediately feel it. You'll just, like, wind up like, oh man, I got a weird red spot on my arm today. And then the next day it's like, oh no, I have a weird black spot on my arm today. And the next day it's like, oh no, now there's a hole in my arm. And it's like... It's the little stuff that doesn't give you any warning that really freaked me out when I was camping. But I had a pet tarantula. I forgot, we also get tarantulas out where I live. And we had a pet tarantula. It's called a violet tarantula because it glows like purplish under the light. It has purplish hairs. It's a very cool pet. Unfortunately, one day the cat knocked its terrarium off the shelf and then killed the spider. while we're out, which was probably our fault for not securing the terrarium or keeping the cat away from it, but it was unfortunate. But tarantulas are also very cool. Again, they look scarier than they are. They have really big fangs for their size. But their venom usually isn't that bad. And you gotta think about it, like, a tarantula can't eat a person, so it has no real reason to have the venom to kill a person. The things that, like, can absolutely definitely kill you aren't trying to. Right? Like, a rattlesnake can absolutely kill you, but it doesn't want to kill you. It's just scared and threatened, and you're in its space, and it wants you gone. A cougar doesn't want to kill you. That's another thing we get out here sometimes is cougars, mountain lions, pumas, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same thing. But they don't want to kill you. They're just territorial. They just want you out of their space. And there have been mountain lion attacks. I'm not going to say they're not deadly. It's just, you got to, one, not hike alone. Hike with multiple people. And two, if you do see a mountain lion, don't be intimidated by it. Because, well, you will be intimidated, but don't act intimidated. Because if you run, it's going to chase you. You got to act big and act scary. Throw rocks at it and yell. Don't try and, like, actually hurt it, but, like, get it to fuck off, basically. That was not the case when I went on a trip to Alaska. So, in some parts of the country, we have brown bears and we have black bears. Brown bears are not grizzly bears. Grizzly bears are much bigger. Grizzlies are the big bears that you think of. The one that attacked Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. That was a grizzly. Those guys are huge and will absolutely clean your clock. But brown bears are sort of more... brown bears are the bears you see, like, breaking into trash cans and, like, clawing open coolers for people's peanut butter. They're not harmless. They can definitely still fuck you up. But brown bears are more interested in finding an easy meal than, like, making you into an easy meal. Black bears do not care. Black bears will kill you on sight. So when we went to Alaska, we had two guys who were taking us on a hike. And they had a shotgun each. And they were like, I'm going to be in the front of the trail. He's going to be in the back of the trail. If they come from the sides, duck, and we'll try and get them. But at least where I live currently, there's nothing that, like... I don't, like, wake up every morning and shake my boots out to make sure there's no spiders in it. And I think snakes are very cool. Snakes and lizards as well. There's that guy on YouTube, Coyote Peterson, who just gets bitten by every animal for entertainment. And I'm like, you know, I'm glad somebody's doing it, because somebody has to show, like, hey, look, this thing that can hurt you definitely hurts. Don't get hurt by it. Like, the entertainment value is watching a guy get in severe pain for entertainment. The fun value, or the educational value, is like, hey, respect these animals, because they will definitely hurt you if you give them the opportunity. I also love there's a subreddit that I go to every so often called Oops, That's Deadly, where there's a category of post where it's like, won't kill you, but won't be fun, where people will, like, pick up a blue ring octopus, or they'll pick up, like, a velvet ant. Those are another one we get out here, velvet ants. Um, and they'll be like, hey, I found this cool shiny red ant, and I picked it up and put it on my palm. What kind of ant is this? And then they'll be like, put that down immediately. Are you stupid? And it's like, don't be mean to people who just don't know. Let them learn the lesson themselves. No, don't do that. It's better not to let people get stung by random things they don't know about. But it is funny to think of, like, ooh, what's this? And then touches fire. Ooh, fire's hot. Well, is it still hot? Touches fire again. Ooh, it's still hot. But maybe this time. No. Oh, sorry. Aspect ratio got weird for a second. I made a spoof of Coyote Peterson in high school as a little short film. But I believe that will never see the light of day and can never be recovered. It might be recoverable, I don't know. I still have the hard drive. If the hard drive still works, then I can probably get it, but... Let's see. Where is that hard drive? I have it right here. I have the hard drive right here. I just haven't plugged it in. Because I lost the cable for it. But I'm pretty sure I have all my videos that I made in high school backed up on this thing. That'd be an interesting retrospective, looking at the stuff I made in high school. It's an old hard drive, though. I'm not sure. It might still work. It should still work. No reason it shouldn't work. Only thing I can foresee is the videos being underwhelming. Ooh, someone's got very high farming XP. Alright, Araxxor. Show me that pet. This is gonna be the one. Nope. What am I doing? I gotta hit you with the hammer first. And we got the acid walk rotation, that's fun. I feel like I'm gonna need to take a break here in a second, stretch my legs a little bit. But it shouldn't be too long, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes. Because I've been going for, geez, an hour and a half at this point, so... Yeah, longer than I usually sit in one spot for. But velvet ants do, ants are also very cool to me. Ants and bees are 2 animals that are very cool to me because they are eusocial. They have queens and colonies and a bunch of seemingly simple creatures that make really complicated things. So I think they're very cool. Oh. I don't know if I would be, like, into beekeeping. Maybe as, like, a hobby. But if I were to get into beekeeping, I would definitely need to get into... I would need to be somewhere where the neighbors would not mind the bees. Which I'm not sure there's too many places that are bee-friendly. A lot of places would gladly pay extra money to get rid of all the bees. Which I think is kind of sad, because bees are very important. Solitary bees as well. Solitary bees are also a big, important part of the ecosystem that doesn't get enough attention just because they're not as flashy, they don't make hives, they don't make honey that humans can eat. I'm sure some solitary bees can make, like... They're pollinators and they live off of nectar, and I'm sure they can make something akin to honey for larvae. I don't really... They aren't the... When people say save the bees, I don't really think they think of solitary bees. I think they think of happy, friendly honeybees. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Just going to finish off this trip and then take a quick break. There's another YouTube channel I used to watch a lot. Not so much now. Called Ants Canada. And it's this guy in the Philippines who just keeps ants. And it seems kind of dull. Like, okay, he keeps ants like in ant farms. But they're very elaborate ant farms that have hundreds of chambers. Like full terrariums for them to like roam around and forage in, and like entire rooms of his house that are just filled with ant colonies. Very, very cool. And he's also an actor, so he's very like energetic and very animated when he's talking about his ants and like uh, his enthusiasm for keeping ants is contagious. I'll put it that way. Um, I'm not like the biggest fan of like some of the grosser stuff. Like there was a he did like live feedings of like certain animals to certain other animals. And I know it's like, oh, you're feeding a cockroach to ants. Does it really matter if you kill it or not? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but there's one video where he like, this is gross. So cover your ears or mute me for a couple seconds if you're uncomfortable with grossness. But there was a video that he put out where he live fed a cockroach to one of his ant colonies, and the cockroach died. And as like a final death throw, it like laid its egg sac, and then the babies came out of the egg sac, and the ants killed the babies, and it was like, "Ugh, I know they're just bugs, but it's still like a little bit weird and uncomfortable. I would have preferred not to have watched that. Like, I'll watch feeding a whole chicken leg to my ant colony. Like, okay, that's I guess a neat time lapse, but I don't know. Something about live feeding domesticated animals, or at least live feeding animals in captivity feels kind of weird if you don't absolutely have to. Because it's not just dangerous for... It's not just, like, a moral issue for me. It... I don't think it's, like, super morally wrong to kill an animal later than sooner. It's just, it's a bit icky to me. And, especially with bigger things, like if you have a pet snake. Pet snakes are carnivores. They need to eat, like, mice and stuff. But live feeding an animal when you don't have to is not only dangerous, but definitely more expensive. So I don't really see why you would be doing it. Like, I have a pet dog. I feed my dog chicken. I get it. The certain animals need to eat certain diets to be healthy. It's just how they survive. But if you don't have to, I wouldn't feed my dog a live chicken. She would get her eyes pecked out. And I'm sure my dog would not know what to do with a live chicken. It's about the same size as her. Alright, let's see if we can't get this pet. Nothing. Okay. I will be back very soon. I just need to stand up, shake out my legs for a little bit. Why did I pick up an acorn? Why can't I drop an acorn? Let me just resupply. Oh, man. Forgot to deposit a potion. Oh, well. We'll head back there. Deposit the potion, withdraw the dark crab, swap that around. And I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Welcome back. I'm going to do a few more trips, maybe. Oh man, I've been streaming for 2 hours. I gotta get myself something to eat soon. But oh, we'll see if we can't get this pet in the last few kills of this stream. Maybe it'll be this one. You never know. Aspect ratio gone funky again. That happens when I accidentally minimize the window. Big hits, 288s in a row. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. My dad was into fish tanks, but they are a lot of work. So I would much rather have like a dog than a fish tank. Because for the amount of interactivity you get with the fish tank, I mean, there's some really interactive kinds of fish, but it's a lot more effort to take care of it's a lot more effort and a lot more expensive to take care of a fish tank, especially like if you're trying to set up a saltwater fish tank. It requires like constant monitoring and adjustments and cleanings and all that, and a balanced system. I feel like it's a lot more effort than it's worth, at least for me. They're cool when you see them, but yeah, I don't think that they're cool enough to have a bunch of them. Although I will say the aquatic pet hobby is responsible for the continuation of the axolotl, which is very cool because the axolotl lives in only, I think, a few rivers in Mexico, and they are like very endangered by human settlement. So because they've popped off in like the pet trade, that it's like half pet trade, but you're also sort of conserving the species by having it in the pet trade. It's a weird trade-off because like for these animals to get into the pet trade, they need to have been like wild caught at some point. And so is it ethical to catch wild animals for the pet trade for like profit? It's probably not the best of motivations to capture wild animals, but also like the pragmatic result is like, yes, they were at one point generations back taken from the wild, but at this point there's like a stable breeding population in captivity. So, what now? You know what I mean? Or like in Florida. Not even just in Florida. In Florida, they have a lot of escaped, like, invasive species that come from the pet trade, and that's another downside of the pet trade is invasive species can become a problem if enough people, like, let their animals loose. Like, I know tegus are a big problem in Florida because tegus are very smart and they're eating, like, they're preying on, like, everything. They're just too smart for the ecosystem. Or, like, there's a city in California called Irvine, and they have a population of parrots that were at one point pets, but sort of escaped and have created a breeding population. And so now there's just wild parrots that are technically an invasive species, but they aren't really that harmful. So, like, I don't know. But in Florida, it's like a lot of chameleons and a lot of like geckos and things like that that were brought in as pets and are now escaped. I don't know. It's a difficult balance to strike. But I definitely think I I would just be like an advocate for educating people on the kinds of pets they're getting. Specifically, and this is comes from personal experience, is parrots. A lot of people see parrots doing silly, funny things, and the parrot is being goofy and making fun sounds, and you're like, oh man, that must be what parrots are like all the time. No, they are not. Uh, to have a parrot is a lot of work. They're very loud. They are seed dispersers, so they don't care where they poop. And a thing that a lot of people don't realize about parrots is they get hormonal during certain periods of the year, and that can make them aggressive. They can do a lot of unwanted behaviors. And there's really nothing you can do about it. You can't really get a parrot neutered or spayed. I don't think any avian vet would be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Because, like, even putting a parrot under anesthesia for a mild procedure is very risky. Sometimes they just don't wake up. They're very delicate when it comes to that. They're rewarding pets to keep, but they are definitely a lot of effort. So, definitely I'm an advocate for, like, educating people about the birds. Because the thing that happened with the parrot that I'm talking about, it was a Myers parrot. And the problem with Myers parrots is they tend to be one-person birds. Well, they don't tend to be. They can be one-person birds, where they just pick a certain person, and they're like, "This is my person now. No one can touch them. If anyone else besides this person tries to pick me up, then they are getting bit." You know, that kind of thing. And so the person the parrot chose was my sister. And so when my sister got moody and she didn't want to clean out the bird cage and she didn't want to change his food and water, it would be my job. And that bastard could bite. Because, like, if you think about it from the bird's perspective, this other person who he doesn't like is coming into his base, messing with his food and his water, and like depriving him of seeing my sister, who he actually likes. And so clearly he's going to be upset with me and he's going to bite me. So, yeah, parrots are... If you are interested in getting a parrot, I wouldn't say don't get a parrot. I would just say really do your reading up before you settle on getting a parrot, because you gotta be prepared, because those guys can be difficult and they live for a long ass time. Although there are some pets. There is one pet that I would get if I turn like 60 and I'm still, you know, doing good, kicking it, and I have like people who I have like, if I live to be like 60 to 80 years old, sometime in that time span, I want to get a tortoise, right? Because then I can have this tortoise that I can just give to someone and be like, this is Stompy, and he eats lettuce and he sleeps in a box in your backyard, and now you just have a tortoise. This is in my will. Take good care of him. Goodbye. Ugh. All right, this will probably be my last trip. Let's hope this is a good one. I want to think of like funny things to do at my funeral. Like I know there's people who are like falconers, and like I wonder I wonder if there's like a guy who trains crows who can like get a crow to fly over my coffin as like a bad omen or something. Just something subtle and kind of fucked up. Just to freak people out, just to have them be a little freaked out. Test, 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 test. Sorry, my mic was being a little bit weird there. Gotta be extra careful. This is the trip. I'm not feeling it, but I hope it. Let's see. Getting absolutely pummeled here. Hat acquired. Someone got the Chompy Bird hat in the client chat. And there we go. Okay, Araxxor. I'm asking you nicely. Show me the pet. Damn it. One or two more kills. Hit the mirror back. Oy, oy, oy. I have run out of things to chat about. Who could say that talking for 2 hours straight makes you run out of ideas of things to say? Without just making up straight bullshit. Which I tend to do. I tend to make up bullshit sometimes. Like the fact that, Jackie Kennedy loves sheet metal. Jackie Kennedy hungry. Come on, show me. Come on, you can do it. Show me that pet Araxxor. Maybe I just haven't been wanting it hard enough. Maybe my relaxed approach to this boss has shown it that I don't really want the pet. Well, I do. So show it to me. Just come on. Oh. Nope, we're not gonna crossbow the exploding one. I'm gonna lure him this way. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. And 2, 3, 4, 5. It should be the one. This ought to be the one. Don't look at my clicks. My clicks are scuffed. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna throw. Drink anti-venom. This has got to be the one, Araxxor, or else I'm leaving. Alright. I swear this time, I'm putting my foot down. If you don't give me the pet, I'm out of here. And off to probably, like, challenge mode chambers for a little bit. Okay, but we're hitting really big. Two, three, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, someone got all the graceful set. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. How'd you hit me all the way out there, ass? Okay. Last trip, Araxxor. Show me the pet. Nope. Never lucky. Alright. Well, I've been going for 2 hours now. I gotta take a break. Thanks everybody who stopped by. Unfortunately, no pet today. Maybe next time. I have a feeling we're gonna get back-to-back tasks. So I'll probably have plenty more Araxxor to do. But yeah. That'll do it for this this stream. Thanks everyone who stopped by. Thanks for all the new subscribers. And yeah, it's been great chatting with everybody. So, as always, have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.